All right, get ready, because today we're going to jump right into some fascinating stuff about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
personal freedom, and some pretty bold predictions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all pulled from this conversation you shared
Okay.
that we're going to break down together today.
Sounds good.
It's definitely not your typical financial analysis, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The way this person connects the future of money with individual liberty is,
Right.
well,
It's interesting.
it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, it is.
So to make sure we're both on the same page, you're looking to understand two things.
Okay.
First, what's the basis for this speaker's prediction?
Mm-hmm.
That Bitcoin's going to hit $150,000 in 2024?
Yeah.
And second, how does any of this relate to personal freedom?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
The classic number go up prediction.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it doesn't seem to be just about like market speculation.
Right.
This person seems to believe that Bitcoin is part of a much larger
Exactly.
societal shift.
Totally. They're not just talking about making a quick buck.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as a massive revolution
Ah.
where crypto goes from what they call gambling money
Right.
to a legitimate store of value, something that people will use for everyday transactions.
Yeah.
It's like they're envisioning a whole new financial system built from the ground up.
Yeah, it reminds me of how gold was viewed centuries ago, you know?
Mhm.
It went from being a shiny trinket
Uh-huh.
to a globally recognized form of currency.
Yeah.
Could Bitcoin be on a similar trajectory?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
That is the million-dollar question.
And it's fascinating how they tie this back to their concerns about the U.S. dollar.
Right.
They claim it's lost a significant chunk, like 20%,
Wow.
of its purchasing power just in the past few years.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for like the average person?
Well, they give a pretty straightforward example.
Yeah.
Imagine you wanted to buy something, say a used car,
Okay.
for $10,000 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you need to shell out $12,000 for that same car.
Oh, wow.
So even if your bank account balance hasn't changed, your money is buying
Right.
less stuff.
Less stuff, yeah.
They call it sneaky inflation.
Sneaky inflation.
And that's where Bitcoin comes in, right?
Okay.
They're pitching it as a potential hedge against this erosion of purchasing power.
I see.
They're essentially saying, don't put all your eggs in the traditional finance basket.
Yeah.
They're not just advocating for Bitcoin either.
Okay.
They're really throwing shade at the entire traditional banking system,
Really?
especially when it comes to international transfers.
Interesting.
They paint this picture of high fees, fluctuating exchange rates, endless delays.
Ugh.
And then to top it all off, nosy questions from the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you doing with your own money? I think we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And they contrast this with the ease and speed of peer-to-peer crypto transactions.
Okay.
They even highlight Telegram, the messaging app,
Right.
rolling out username-based payments.
Wow.
So imagine sending money as easily as shooting off a text message.
Yeah.
No more hoops to jump through.
That'd be great.
No more middlemen taking their cut.
Right. And think about how that contrasts with like existing payment apps like Venmo, which still rely on those traditional banks and financial rails.
Exactly.
This Telegram example is pointing towards a truly decentralized system where individuals have much more control
Yeah.
over their money.
Yeah.
It's a glimpse into a future where financial power shifts away from these big centralized institutions.
Yeah. It really is a bold vision, and they get even more dramatic.
Okay.
Comparing the need for mass crypto adoption to get this, the ants in the movie A Bug's Life, banding together to challenge the grasshopper overlords.
Oh, that's an interesting analogy.
So in their view, everyday people embracing crypto become these little ants taking on the giant established financial system.
I see.
It's about collective action,
Right.
leading to systemic change.
Yeah, I get it.
And this is where they introduce a concept they call the price of freedom, arguing that most people are content to be comfortable slaves.
Whoa. Now that's a loaded term.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
Well, they believe people often prioritize comfort and convenience
Okay.
over true freedom.
So they're not talking about literal slavery,
No.
but rather the ways in which we might be giving up
Exactly.
some of our autonomy or control
Exactly.
without even realizing it.
Without even realizing it.
Okay.
It's like choosing the ease of a prepackaged meal
Uh-huh.
over the effort of cooking from scratch.
I see.
You know, you might be sacrificing some control over the ingredients and nutritional value
Right.
for the sake of convenience.
So in a way, it's like a form of comfortable slavery.
Yeah.
to the food industry.
Exactly. And they connect this directly to the choice between sticking with traditional finance
Okay.
or venturing into the world of crypto.
So in their mind, opting out of those conventional systems is a step towards reclaiming that freedom.
Yes.
It's about taking control of your finances.
Yeah.
And by extension, your life.
And they're not just talking about solo missions here either.
Okay.
They emphasize finding like-minded individuals who share these values of authenticity and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They believe the internet can be a powerful tool for connecting those who reject censorship
Yeah.
and want more control over their lives.
Right. It's about building a community,
Exactly.
a tribe of people
A tribe
who are on the same wavelength.
on the same wavelength. That's a good way to put it. And this leads them to criticize what they call humiliation rituals,
Humiliation rituals.
which are actions they see as compromising personal values for the sake of money or status.
Okay, so true freedom for them means resisting the pressure to conform,
Exactly.
even when there are big rewards on the line.
Even when there are big rewards on the line.
This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
So can you give us an example of what they might be referring to when they say humiliation rituals?
Sure. Imagine someone working a job they hate, tolerating a toxic boss simply because they need the paycheck.
Yeah.
They're essentially sacrificing their well-being and self-respect
Right.
for financial security.
Mm.
Or think about someone who stays silent on an important issue even though they disagree,
Oh.
because they're afraid of losing their social standing or their professional connections.
I see.
These are just a couple of examples of how we might compromise our values for external rewards.
So they're suggesting that true freedom involves recognizing these rituals and having the courage to reject them.
Yes.
It's about aligning your actions with your values, even if it means facing some discomfort or pushback.
Exactly. And they take it a step further, celebrating the idea of being unbuyable.
Unbuyable.
Meaning they prioritize their values over any financial incentive.
Now, that's a bold statement.
It is.
Is it even truly possible to be unbuyable
Right.
in a capitalist society
Yeah.
where money often dictates,
Access.
an opportunity?
Yeah.
It's a noble aspiration, but maybe a bit idealistic.
It's definitely a thought-provoking concept. They seem to believe it's achievable.
Okay.
And they point to El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as legal tender, as evidence that crypto is gaining legitimacy on a global scale.
That's a significant development.
It is.
It forced even the International Monetary Fund, the IMF,
Right.
to acknowledge Bitcoin's status as a currency.
Yeah, so it seems like this speaker is challenging us to rethink not just our personal finances,
Right.
but the entire global financial landscape. They believe the current system is fundamentally flawed,
Yeah.
and that cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin, offer a path towards greater freedom and autonomy.
It's a radical perspective for sure, and their critique of the U.S. dollar gets even sharper from here.
Oh, really?
They argue that holding U.S. dollars is essentially a bet on the stability of a system they believe is designed to exploit people.
Oh, strong words.
Yeah.
But this ties back to their earlier points about U.S. monetary policy.
Right.
Specifically, how they see the government printing too much money and devaluing the currency.
Yeah.
They view it as a hidden tax on the average person.
They also criticize how the U.S. government funds wars
Right.
and provides aid that they see as a form of debt enslavement, perpetuating this cycle of dependency.
It's a pretty strong indictment of the current financial system.
It is.
And they use this powerful metaphor to sum up their stance.
Okay.
Those who want to lead the orchestra must be willing to turn their back on the crowd.
Wow, what a striking image.
Yeah.
So essentially they're saying that true leaders embrace unconventional thinking and challenge those societal norms,
Right.
even if it means facing rejection or going against the grain.
Exactly.
It's about having the courage to forge your own path,
Yeah.
even when it's unpopular.
It's like they're saying, don't be afraid to stand out, to be different, to challenge the status quo.
Exactly.
And they conclude this part of the conversation by stressing the importance of free thought,
Okay.
critical thinking, and autonomy. They're essentially saying, don't be a sheep.
Right.
Question everything and think for yourself.
It's a powerful call to action, urging us to reclaim our own agency and shape the world we want to live in. But that's a big task.
It is.
Where do we even begin?
Yeah. How do we apply these ideas to our own lives and decisions?
That's a great question, and I think it's something we should delve into further in the next part.
I agree. Let's take a closer look at how this speaker's ideas can translate into concrete actions
Okay.
and what steps we can take to move towards greater financial autonomy and personal freedom.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it. I'm ready to unpack this practical side
Okay,
of this freedom through finance philosophy.
great. So we've heard the speaker say that there's like this strong link between financial systems and personal freedom.
Yeah.
They're basically arguing that by opting out of traditional finance and going for things like Bitcoin, you're taking a step towards greater autonomy.
Yeah, it is a pretty radical idea, isn't it? I mean, most of us just take the current financial system for granted.
Mm.
You know, we go to work, we get paid, we put our money in the bank.
Right.
And that's that. But this person is suggesting that there's another way,
Yeah.
like with a break free from what they see as a system that's designed to keep us trapped.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about things.
It is.
They're really challenging us to question the assumptions that we've always held about money and banks,
Mhm.
and even like the role of government in our financial lives.
Yeah, and it's not just about money either. They're connecting this idea of financial freedom
Right.
to a broader philosophy of personal liberation.
Yeah.
You know, they believe that by taking control of our finances,
Mm-hmm.
we can reclaim our agency and shape the world we want to live in.
It's like they're saying your financial choices aren't just about like personal gain. They're about making a statement,
Exactly.
about aligning your actions with your values.
And they're not afraid to be provocative either.
Right.
To use strong language like comfortable slaves. You know, to challenge our comfort zones
Uh-huh.
and make us really think about the trade-offs we're making.
Yeah, and even if you don't agree with their entire worldview,
Right.
I think there's something to be said for that emphasis on critical thinking,
Hmm.
especially in an age of like information overload.
Total.
It's more important than ever to be discerning, to question assumptions,
Right.
to form our own opinions rather than just blindly following the crowd.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hype,
It is.
especially when it comes to something like Bitcoin, which has had its fair share of ups and downs.
Oh, yeah.
But this person is encouraging us to look beyond just the price fluctuations
Right?
and consider that underlying philosophy,
Hmm.
the potential for a truly decentralized financial system that empowers individuals.
And they're not suggesting that we all become hermits and live off the grid or anything.
Right.
They do recognize the importance of community,
Yeah.
of connecting with like-minded individuals who share those values of authenticity and freedom.
They believe the internet can be a powerful tool for building those communities,
Totally.
for finding those people who are also seeking a different path,
Yeah.
a path less traveled.
A path less traveled.
It's like they're envisioning a global tribe
Yeah.
of individuals who are committed to living more authentically, more freely,
Mm-hmm.
and who are using financial tools like Bitcoin to help them achieve that vision.
It's inspiring, but it also raises a lot of questions.
Yeah,
Like, is it even possible to opt out of the current system
totally.
entirely? And if so, what are the practical steps involved?
Those are great questions. And
Yeah.
and while the speaker provides some insights,
Right.
they don't necessarily offer like a step-by-step guide.
Yeah.
It's more about planting those seeds of possibility, encouraging us to explore and find our own unique paths.
It's like they're saying, here's a different way of looking at things.
Mhm.
Go out there and figure out what it means for you.
Exactly. And I think that's part of what makes this conversation so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not about providing all the answers.
Right.
It's about sparking that curiosity, challenging those assumptions,
Uh-huh.
and encouraging us to think outside the box.
So let's dive into some of those practical questions then.
Okay.
For someone who is intrigued by this idea of financial autonomy, but maybe feels a little overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the complexity of Bitcoin and crypto, where do they even begin?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think the first step is education.
Yeah.
There are tons of resources available online,
Absolutely.
from articles and videos to podcasts and courses. They can help you understand the basics of Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and decentralized finance.
Right. And it doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing.
Exactly.
You don't have to suddenly convert all of your savings to Bitcoin.
Right,
You can
yeah.
start small.
Dip your toes in.
Yeah, dip your toes in.
Maybe by investing a small amount,
Right.
just to get your feet wet and see how it works.
Exactly. It allows you to familiarize yourself with the technology, the risks, the potential rewards
Mm-hmm.
at your own pace.
And as you learn more, you can start exploring other aspects of the crypto ecosystem, like decentralized exchanges, wallets,
Yeah.
even different cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin. There's a whole universe out there.
It's a rapidly evolving space,
It is.
but I think it's important to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah.
Not everything in the crypto world is sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
There are scams, there are risks,
For sure.
and it's crucial to do your research before making any financial decisions.
Definitely don't just blindly follow the hype or invest in something you don't fully understand.
Right.
And remember, it's your money,
Yeah.
your freedom,
Mm-hmm.
your choice.
This speaker's perspective might seem extreme to some,
Right.
but it's clear that they're very passionate about empowering individuals to take control of their own lives,
Yeah.
starting with their finances.
They're not just talking about getting rich.
Right.
They're talking about a fundamental shift
Mm-hmm.
in how we think about money, power, and freedom in the digital age.
Right. And that's a conversation worth having.
It is.
Even if you don't agree with everything they say,
Right.
it challenges us to consider those alternative possibilities, to question that status quo, and to explore new ways of living and interacting in this rapidly changing world.
So as we wrap up this part of the deep dive,
Okay.
I want to pose a question to you, the listener.
Mm-hmm.
If this speaker is right, and traditional financial systems represent a form of comfortable slavery,
Okay.
what small steps could you take today to reclaim a greater sense of autonomy
Yeah.
over your own finances and life choices?
It might be as simple as just educating yourself about alternative currencies,
Yeah.
exploring those decentralized finance platforms, or
Yeah.
even having those difficult conversations with loved ones
Yeah.
about your values and how you want to shape your financial future.
It's about taking ownership of your financial journey
Exactly.
and making choices that align with your personal values and your vision for the future. This speaker's really holding up a mirror to society and saying, look, this is how things are,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to choose a different path.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
And it can feel both liberating and overwhelming
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Liberating because it opens up possibilities, but also overwhelming because it challenges so many deeply ingrained beliefs
Yeah.
about money and power.
It's kind of like being told that you've been living in a matrix
Uh-huh.
your whole life, and now you have a chance to see the real world.
Exactly.
Exciting, but also a little scary.
Yeah. And it's understandable to feel some resistance, some fear of the unknown.
Totally.
But that's where courage comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's about having the courage to question, to explore,
Yeah.
to potentially step outside of your comfort zone.
And remember that quote they shared.
Yeah.
Those who want to lead the orchestra must be willing to turn their back on the crowd.
Mm-mm.
It's about having the guts to forge your own path, even when it's unconventional or unpopular.
It's about recognizing that true leadership often starts with leading yourself,
Right.
with cultivating independent thought, and a willingness to challenge the norms.
Yeah.
It's about becoming the conductor of your own life.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is.
To think that we all have the potential to be those leaders of the orchestra to create change.
Yeah,
Even if it's just in our own small corner of the world.
absolutely. And that change can begin with something as simple as just a shift in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's reconsidering your relationship with money,
Yeah.
or questioning the systems that you've always taken for granted.
Or maybe it's connecting with others who share your values
Yeah.
and supporting each other on this journey of exploration and growth.
Absolutely.
Building a community around these ideas can be incredibly empowering.
Exactly, because true freedom, as this person suggests,
Mm-hmm.
isn't just about individual autonomy.
Right.
It's also about building communities that support those values
Yeah.
and create spaces where people can connect, learn, and grow together.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling inspired, maybe even a little fired up, what's the next step?
Well, I think it goes back to those small steps we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Educate yourself. Explore different options.
Mm-hmm.
Experiment with new tools and platforms.
Yeah.
Start small, but start somewhere.
Start somewhere and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
To reach out to others who are further along on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
There's a growing community of people who are passionate about these ideas
Yeah.
and who are happy to share their knowledge and their experiences.
Remember, this isn't about finding the one right answer
Yeah.
or following a prescribed path.
Yeah.
It's about discovering what works for you,
Mhm.
what aligns with your values, and what helps you create a life that feels more
Yeah.
authentic, more meaningful, and more free.
It's about taking ownership of your financial journey and by extension, your life.
Mm.
It's about becoming the architect of your own destiny.
And that's a powerful message to carry with you long after this deep dive is over.
It is.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop seeking your own unique path to freedom.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah.
We hope it sparks some new ideas, some challenging questions,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even a little bit of excitement about the possibilities that lie ahead.
Until next time, keep diving deep.